Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video, we're going to be learning about the box model. The box model is a fundamental concept that describes how elements are structured on a web page and how spaces are distributed around or within them. And there are four main components responsible for this. We have the content, we have padding, we have border, and we have margin. So let's look at how it works. So I'll use a div. I'll just simply write hello. And I'll give the div a class of maybe content, or think box makes more sense. All right, so we have a div with class box, and I'll style this div. I want to reduce the width of the div because the div is a block level element and it's going to take up the entire space on the entire space on the screen, the entire width. So I'll use saying 300 pixels, and I'll give it a border 3 pixels solid blue. I'll come back to explain this when we are talking about border. All right, now I have my content. Now this content could be an image, could be a text, could be anything. It doesn't have to be a text. It could be a picture. So I have my text with a width of 300 pixels and a border, a blue border. So I'm going to open this up in browser and see what we got. All right, I think I still need to reduce the width. I want it to look like a box, maybe 100. Okay. I'm still going to reduce it. I don't like how it's maybe 70. I think 70 should be fine. Okay, all right. I think this is good. So we have a box, a hello world inside a box. Now, this is our content in this case. Now, we have another component working on this text, which is padding. Now, padding is the space within your content. Padding clears space around your content. So let's see how padding works. So I'm going to give this a padding of 20 pixels. Let's start from there. So now it's going to look as though the box got bigger, but you just created space around the content. You can see that we have space at the top, bottom, left, and right. So by using padding 20 pixels, we just cleared out space around our content. Now this is the same thing as saying padding right, 20 pixels, padding left, 20 pixels, padding top, 20 pixels, padding bottom, 20 pixels. But that is a waste of time. Since you're using the same value for all sides, then you could just write padding 20 pixels. Your browser understands that it is representing all sides. Now, what if we want a different value for each of the sides? Maybe I want the top padded to be bigger than the left and right. That brings us to use this. So I have padding, say 10 pixels, 15 pixels, 5 pixels, and 20 pixels. Now, if you have this is the distribution is anti-clockwise, is a clockwise direction. So 10 pixels represents the top, 15 pixels represents the right, 5 pixels represent the bottom, and 20 pixels represent the left. So if you have this is the spaces will be distributed clockwise direction. So once I open this up in browser, we're going to have different sizes for the top, left, bottom, and right. Now, what if we have 3? What if we have 3 instead of 4? Now, 10 pixels represents up and down, top and bottom. 15 represents left and 5 represents right. So if you have 3 values, you want the space for the top padding and the bottom padding to be the same, and then 15 pixels represent the left and 5 represents right. So what if we have 2? Now we're going to have top and down, and this would be left and right. And what if we have 1? I think this was the first one we did. So this one would represent all sides. Now padding clears space around the contents. Now let's talk about border. Now border is the space around the padding. Now let's talk about border. Border is a space that goes around the content and padding. It's just like how padding goes around our content. So we used a border in the previous example for padding. Border 3 pixels solid blue. And I made sure that I was going to explain what this means. So let's dive right into it. Now, this is the same thing as saying border width 3 pixels, border style solid, and border color blue. So this is like the longer version of the other one. So whenever you see border 3 pixels something and then a color, it just means the border width, the border style, and the border color. And in border, width does not actually mean how wide we want the border to be. It just means how thick. It means the thickness of the width. So if I used, say, 10 pixels, the border is not going to increase the width of the border. To just increase the thickness of the border. So whenever you see border width, it does not mean how wide the border is. It just represents the thickness of the border lines. All right, so we have other border styles. I am using solid. We have border style. We have double. So if we do not want to use solid, we can use double. And we're going to have a double border instead of, okay, I think border style double. Let me increase the width. Probably that would make it more visible. 5 pixels. All right, so we can see that we have our border style is double. So instead of using solid, we can use double. We also have, instead of double, we can have inset. Now, inset gives you a frame-like border. It changes the left and the top border. So I'm just going to increase this. Maybe we can be able to see it properly. So if you check this properly, you see that, or maybe I should use a different color. Maybe that will make it more visible. Say green. And like, so we can see that the left and the top border is different from the bottom and right. So this is what inset does. Inset changes the left and right border, makes it a bit darker. Then we have outset. Outset is just the opposite of inset. So outset is going to change the bottom and right border like so. Okay, moving on, we also have groove. Groove gives you a frame-like border, like this. Makes your border looks like a frame. And we also have reach. So reach is like the opposite of groove. We can see that groove is more like inside out and reach is outside in. If there's any word like that. All right, so we have solid, which is the one I usually use. So solid is just solid. Solid, we just make it solid. Oh, I didn't say that. So solid, we just make it solid. And so we have solid, we have insert, we have outside, we have groove, we have ridge, and solid. So I'll just stick with solid, and I'll stick with using the shortcut and writing this instead of using the longer version, writing it to the longer version. So this is basically everything. Okay, not everything. There is something else I haven't talked about, which I'm going to do just now. Just put this back and look. All right, so we can decide that we do not want all-round border. We don't want our elements to have all-round border. We just want a single border, maybe just a left border, a right border, a top border, or a bottom border. So that is very easy to do. Just border bottom, 3 pixels, solid green. And we might have to comment on this. Now this is only going to give us a border bottom like this. And we can do the same thing for border left, border right, border. So this is going to give us just a left border like this. So we can do the same thing for border right and border top. And there is something else called border radius. Now border radius changes the edge of, oh sorry, that was a mistake. I was going to remove this. So border radius is basically used to curve the edges of our border. Instead of them looking sharp, we just want them to look curved. So we can start from 10 pixels, and we're no longer going to have a curved edges. We're no longer going to have a sharp edges rather. So we can see that we've curved our border radius, the edges of our border. Now you can increase it to however you want it to look like. The border radius also have some arrangements. Now the 10 pixels is applied to all sides, the top, the bottom, the right, and left. So what if we have two values? Say we have 10 pixels, 20 pixels. Now, this is going to be applicable to the 10 pixels will represent the top left and bottom right, while the 20 pixels represents top right and bottom left. So once we open this in the browser, we're going to see the difference. Oh, can see that the 10 pixels applied to the top left and bottom right, while 20 applied to top right and bottom left. So what if we have 3 values? So say we have 10 pixels, 15 pixels, and say 7 pixels. All right, now the 10 pixels is applicable to the top left corner of the border radius. The top left corner. The 15 pixels is for the top right corner. So the top left corner, the top right corner, Then this 7 is for the bottom right corner. Or okay, let me just go it this way. The 10 pixels is for the top left corner. And the 15 pixels is for the bottom right and bottom left. Then the 15 pixels is for the top right corner. So once we do this, we're going to have different border for the sides. So we can see it right here. Now what if we have 2 value or 4? Okay, I've explained 2. What if we have 4? Say I have 5px. Now this also represents the top left corner, 15 represents the top right corner, 7 represents bottom right corner, and 5 represents bottom left corner. So once we check this out, we would see the different sizes for each of the corners. So that is what border radius does. Border radius is used to give an element rounded corners. Okay, so let's talk about margin, which is the very last one. Margin is the space that goes around everything, that goes around your content, padding, and border. Margin is like the outer space that carries everything. So let's look at an example. So let's say we have margin 40 pixels. Now margin 40 pixels will clear out space at the top, at the bottom, at the right, and at the bottom and at the left of my elements. It's going to take space around everything. So we can see that it gave us margin 20 pixels from the left, then 20 from the top, 20 from the right, and 20 from the bottom. So margin is for the outer space. After your content, it goes around your content, your padding, and your border, like outside your entire elements, outside everything. So the same way, the same arrangements for padding applies to margin. So this 40 pixels represents 4 sides. So what if I had 40, 20 pixels? This is where the top and bottom, and this is where the right and left. So what if I have 3? So this is for the top and bottom, this is where the right and left. So what if I have 4? Maybe say 50 pixels. Now this is for, we are still going clockwise direction. This is for top, this is for right, this is for bottom, and this is for left. So margin clears out space outside the content. Now most people usually have, most people interchange padding and margin. The difference between padding and margin is padding is immediately after your content, while margin is outside the content, outside your content, outside your padding, outside your border. Margin works for the page. Margin works for the page, when padding works on your elements. I think that should be simple enough. Okay, so by the time we progress, we're going to explore these properties. We're going to explore border, we're going to explore padding and margin so that we can have more understanding on it. So this is all about the box model. I hope it was really easy to understand, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye.